Welcome to Ask Ms. ERP. The topic of this video is Pros and Cons of Cloud 2. Hello everyone, Ms. ERP here. As you can tell by the title of this video, it is a continuation of my previous video on this same subject. As I mentioned in part 1, when talking about pros and cons here, most of these points really apply to PaaS or IaaS types of clouds. Platform or infrastructure as a service. Software as a service, or SaaS, specific pros and cons will be coming in the next video. An appealing feature of cloud is that you can reduce your need for infrastructure skills. In theory, reallocating staff to more value-add activities. The con is that you will likely need to hire or train for required new skills. According to recent surveys, the lack of resources and expertise is now the #1 cloud challenge. This can create a dilemma for some companies who cannot leverage the cloud because they lack the experience. Different skills are needed to support cloud. Configuration specialists, integration specialists, and security specialists as examples. You also need to ensure that you are monitoring and measuring your cloud service. There are pros and cons to consider around data, whether we are talking infrastructure, platform, or software cloud services. They all have data in some shape or form. In theory, a cloud service provider can provide cost-effective storage, but where your data resides may be important to your company. Does it need to be in your home country? And would you know if your cloud provider moves it? If you are transitioning an existing capability to the cloud, you will likely have to consider the cost of historical data archiving. While the cost of storage is dropping all the time, you should still minimize what you start with on the cloud as a best practice. To be able to do this, do you have a corporate data retention policy that you can leverage? Even if you have a retention policy, is the data that is going to the cloud classified correctly to be able to apply your policy to be able to clean it up? Categorizing data is not a simple task, but worthwhile exercise for the long term. It is also very important to consider what your world might look like if you need to end the relationship with your cloud service provider. Make sure that data ownership is clear. I am sure that you believe that you own your own data, but unless clearly stated in your agreement, this might cause you challenges. You might also want to consider having data backed up on-premise on a periodic basis. Cloud vendors will try and convince you that cloud is cheaper. This may or may not be true, as it is difficult to compare apples and oranges. Cloud services will reduce the need for IT capital expenditures for both hardware and software, but will increase monthly operating expenses. The real emphasis should be on total cost of ownership regardless of the type of expenditure. And how long of a time period should you use to measure? Comparing a 1-year cloud service cost to a 1-year hardware purchase is not representative. You should try and cover at least 2 cycles of hardware purchases for a true comparison. Also, please remember that you will still need to pay for connectivity, whether that is web, VPN, or a dedicated line. Make sure that you pay close attention to the details in your cloud service contract, noting any potential additional charges for things like CPUs, servers, databases, instances, support, upgrade costs, or any specialized resource requirements. You also need to be aware of how service incentives and penalties are calculated so that you know what to monitor. And be aware of potential service charge increases for when you renew. You don't want any nasty surprises. In summary, you need to evaluate the pros and cons of cloud as they pertain to your company and what business problems you are trying to solve. There are many pros, and really all of the cons relate in some form or other to loss of control. It is entirely up to you if you are ready to let go. I will have more to say on this in an upcoming video. Is your company ready for cloud? This concludes the pros and cons of Cloud 2 topic. I have a number of ideas for topics for Ask Ms. ERP, but I'm also hoping that you will post questions that perhaps I can help answer. There is a link on askmserp.com to email me to ask questions or suggest topics for future videos. Thanks, and see you on the next video.